So this is everything that has happened. Trump, big statements about Iran and the supreme leader. Internet outage. Iran is claiming this is Israeli cyber attack. It could be just the regime because they do it all the time. Whenever they have any problems, you guys remember the protests back in 2019? And anytime there's protests inside Iran, the regime takes out the internet so people cannot communicate, and people cannot communicate to people outside the country. And that's something we'll get into in just a second. Another thing, American bases have been under attack. This is something I've been covering every single night. But important thing to point out here is they've always been under attack, especially in Middle East, in Iraq and Syria. There are Iranian proxies who always send in some drones, maybe some small stuff at American bases, and they take it down. Nothing out of the ordinary has been reported yet. Reuters today did report something 3 Iranian-made missiles were targeted towards the American base in Syria. But this happened last week, before the whole operation stuff started. So this could be something just that happens all the time. The report came out today, but they are very clear about the fact that this happened late last week. So we don't know. I don't think this is going to change the calculus as to if US is going to get involved or not. And what I mean by that is if US was going to get involved, they're probably going to get involved. If they're not going to get involved, they're not going to get involved. This attack is not going to change anything. But the other thing that a lot of people are covering that could point towards some kind of escalation, some kind of US involvement, is the US assets, military assets that are moving from the United States to the Middle East. They're going to Saudi Arabia, they're going to Qatar, all the bases we have. And some of the numbers include 20 tankers. Now, tankers, you don't really need them to defend US bases, if you think about it. The jets, they can get off from the bases if they want to take down any missiles Iran is sending. So the fact that tankers are going there, it could hint at something, some offensive missions that US is planning. On top of that, we have F-35s, F-16s. Those are all going in. Important to point out, Israel already has F-35s. They're operating with impunity inside Iran. So US is probably just adding to that stockpile if we do get involved, adding to that, like the F-35s Israel already has. One thing Israel doesn't have is B-2 bombers. Now, that's something that's important to keep an eye on because the main goal for Israel is to basically destroy the nuclear program Iran has, and that's only possible with B-2s because B-2s have the ability to carry B-2s have the ability to carry 30,000 pounds of bunker busters that can go deep inside the nuclear facilities that Iran has built into the mountains. But as of now, as of like 10 minutes ago, all our B-2s, we have roughly 19 B-2s, maybe 18. All of them are in Missouri. They're not even at Diego Garcia. They were at Diego Garcia 2 months ago when we were trying to push Iran into negotiating with us before President Trump gave them the 60-day warning. But as of now, they are still in Missouri. When the B-2s start moving, I think that will give us a lot more of a signal that US is definitely getting involved. But as of now, we still have a lot of other military assets moving to the Middle East. Now, another thing I want to point out, B-2s don't exactly have to move to Diego Garcia. B-2s have the ability to take off from Missouri, go all the way to Iran, just refuel in the air on the way, drop the bunker busters, and fly back to Missouri. So if we really wanted to keep it low-key, we didn't want to give Iran any hints that B-2s are coming, we could do something like that. They can make the whole trip in 60-hour round trip without touching down anywhere. They can go all the way from the Pacific Ocean to using the Pacific Ocean route to Iran and come back. And they have done that 2 times already. They did that in Yemen under President Biden. And in 2003, they did that when they went to Afghanistan. So both times, B-2s have flown from Missouri to Middle East, dropped the bombs, and came back without touching down. Definitely insane technology we have. No other country has it. Those are undetectable stealth bombers, and they have ability to penetrate deep underground. Now, here's just some footage of all the assets that US is moving. This was over the UK. And talking about UK, actually, I have some interesting news from there too. UK is getting involved in this mission. If US goes in, I think UK is going to go in too. But here's just some KC-135s and F-35s spotted over UK this morning. They were going towards Middle East. And last night, the whole yesterday, actually, we covered a lot of tankers moving from the United States to Middle East, almost like 30 of them. That's definitely a lot. Now, a lot of people are already talking about how if US was going to get involved, it's going to be B-2s. This is something we already covered. Another thing, Pentagon did confirm we have B-52s at Diego Garcia. Now, for people who haven't been following this is Diego Garcia. It's an air base we have in the Indian Ocean. This is a British territory, but it's right here in the Indian Ocean. And the reason we use this as a base to just, I guess, send a warning to Iran because any bombers or jets can take off from here, go to Iran and come back without having to refuel, at least based on what I know. And on top of that, Iranian missiles, Iranian drones, maybe some of Iranian drones can reach the airbase, but this is basically out of Iran's range. So Iran cannot threaten anything we have here, but all the assets we have here have the clear ability to go there and come back and do whatever they're ordered to do, basically. And it's not just the air assets, a lot of Navy assets. Yesterday we covered how we have a third aircraft carrier going to the Middle East. That's very rare. We usually only have one or two. Even during when we were bombing Yemen just few months ago, I would say, when was the Operation Rough Riders, we had 2 aircraft carriers there, but now a third one is going there. Now you guys can see, I wouldn't consider myself an expert in Navy warfare, that much at least, but you guys can see on your screen, hopefully, all the assets we have. And then we also have the USS Nimitz that's going from the Pacific Theater, from the South China Sea to the Middle East. Right here is the route it's taking. To me, this looks cool, so I wanted to show it to you guys. By the way, oh wow, we have almost 2,000 people. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1.8 million subscribers. You guys can see the subscribe thing right below my face, the number. And talking about UK, by the way, like I said, we had some big news. Well, it's not just US that's moving military assets to Middle East. It's also the UK, United Kingdom. But yes, as many of you pointed out, my mistake, it's likely they're not running out of missiles, they're running out of launchers. And we have footage we'll get into later in the stream where Israel has been really going after these launchers. And once you're out of launchers, it's hard to use the missiles you already have. Another thing, let's continue with our coverage. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and many other in the Israeli Defense Department do truly believe that US is going to get involved in this war, because Israel does need US help, US B-2s to take out the what is that, Fordo nuclear facility, because without that, all this operation, all the stuff they have done, is going to be useless. Because if they cannot stop the nuclear program, what's the point of going so in, you know? Another thing, as you guys just heard, US is working hard to take out US citizens from Iran and Iraq. Well, it's not just US. China has shut down their embassy. If I remember correctly, I think India is evacuating Indian nationals through Turkmenistan or one of the other countries in East Asia. They are using that country to evacuate Indian nationals from there too. So a lot of countries are just bailing out of Tehran. And it's not just countries. Yesterday we looked at it. Even the Iranian people are trying to leave Iran. Last night, we covered this. President Trump gave a warning, basically. Iran, everyone who's in Tehran needs to evacuate. This was midnight. This was past midnight in Iran, so people were sleeping. But Tehran has a population of 10 million people, and there's panic all over the city. The strikes were going already, but President Trump's warning just makes it seem like something big is coming, and a lot of people are trying to leave the city. Let's keep moving on. Iran have prepared plans to manage sensitive centers in the event of assassinations of leaders. So Iran, again, they have already lost a lot of people, but we had not seen any political assassination. What I mean by that, none of the government officials were killed. It's all the IRGC, military, and nuclear scientists who were getting assassinated over the last 3 days. Well, today we got some reports. It's still not confirmed completely that a former president was assassinated. This is something we heard in the State Department press too. They were asked about it. She didn't answer. She's like, that's something you have to ask Israel about. We have seen unconfirmed reports. We don't know for sure. Now, of course, forget about the reports. Trump is saying it publicly that we know where he is, and we're not going to kill him, at least for now. Very, very scary warning if you're the Iranian supreme leader. So according to this report, it seems like they already have a plan to continue, but that doesn't really mean they're going to succeed. You know, if the leaders are gone, Iran will probably agree to a ceasefire. Now, here's the son of the former prince. Now, a lot of people are saying that if the regime does fall, US and Israel plan to put back the former prince, or he's the son of the former Shah, and they're going to have him put back and implement democracy using his help. That was the plan in Middle East. In other countries we got involved too. Things usually don't go according to plan, but this is what he's saying. Another thing to point out, by the way, this guy is not very popular in Iran. He is popular outside Iran, but inside Iran, people are not a big fan. You guys have to remember, the current regime is horrible. But the Shah, he wasn't much better either. He was very oppressive against Iranian people. He was pro-US. He was pro-West. So that's a good good point from our point of view, but for the Iranian people, that it was still a very oppressive regime even under the Shah.
There is a campaign for liberation that we've been committed to all.
Now, of course, that doesn't mean anything against him. His dad was doing that. It's not him. He could be better. But I'm just saying he's not that popular in Iran.
There is a campaign for liberation that we've been committed to all these years.
Yes, so Roos, that's what reports we have seen. My bad on pausing the video so much. US is not going to put him back in power. They're just going to use him to implement democracy. That's the plan. Usually, US planning doesn't actually go according to plans in the Middle East. We saw that before.
The moment is approaching very fast. The regime is on the verge of collapse. We see elements within the regime already talking defections. They get in touch with us. We see a leader who is now hiding in a bunker like a rat, while many high elements are taking flight from Iran. I think all of this is conducive to...
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. He doesn't want to be in power. He wants democracy too. The son of the former Shah.
Something that may very soon happen. And finally, my fellow compatriots will be able to overcome. And of course, there's a plan not only for this phase of our struggle, which is liberation from this regime, but what happens right next, the transition to what we hope will culminate in a democratic outcome. There is a campaign.
I guess pretty clear. He does want a democratic outcome. Moving on. This is where a lot of hints about that Israel is not just trying to go after military and nuclear targets. They are trying to go after just like a regime change. Now, we have seen a couple of hints of this. First, of course, the poll we have going on right now in the chat. So if you're in the chat, you haven't voted on the poll, be sure to do so. We have 1,700 votes roughly. And the question was, do you agree with Israel targeting Iran's state TV building? Well, 75% of you guys say yes, and we saw this yesterday. They were targeting. I'm not sure so much. It is, of course, the part of the Iranian regime. They've been pushing for violence, pushing for a lot, but it is out of the norm to target a TV station. It's state-owned TV station. I know that's for sure. Again, I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just a little bit confused. I don't know. I'm a little bit confused, like what's the goal with targeting the TV station? But same thing with the banks. So the hacker group called this Predatory Sparrow, which has previously claimed major cyber attacks against Iranians, said on Tuesday it carried out cyber attack to destroy all data at the Iranian bank. The bank that's linked to the IRGC. Now, if you're in Iran, if you're a business, especially if you're a big one, they're most definitely linked to the IRGC, but considering that we are going after the state TV, they're going after the banks, it does seem like the regime change is definitely the goal, because we're weakening their control over the people, we're weakening their control over the propaganda. Is it actually against Geneva Convention attacking the TV station? Not sure. Yeah, again, I'm not an expert. I'm sure Ryan Macbeth is going to have a video out soon. I'll keep an eye on this, but let's see. I don't know where it stands legally. I know a lot of people are arguing that they're part of the IRGC, but a lot of things are part of the IRGC. Moving on with our coverage anyway, the internet is down in Iran. We have had a lot of people who are outside Iran but have families inside Iran, and they cannot contact anyone. That's definitely worrisome. Now, a lot of people, even I think the Iranian government included, they were saying Israel is doing this. But I kind of doubt this, because this is a habit that the Iranian regime has done multiple times. Every time they lose control of the population, there's panic and the regime status is in danger. They shut down their internet. They just want to stop the dissemination of information. That way they can control a lot of basically the talks that are going inside Iran. They can control information from spreading. I really do think maybe it's the regime that's trying to shut down the internet. It's not really Israel. Why would Israel try to shut down the internet? I guess one point could be so Iran cannot use it to attack back Israel, but I think the government channels are probably more secure than public channels. Moving on, this is something we were talking about a little bit earlier. Yes, by the way, as James points out in the chat, Starlink is active in Iran, so people can use it. I'm not sure how it works exactly. I've never used Starlink, but Elon Musk has confirmed on Twitter that it's active. Moving on, Israel has been attacking many military sites inside Iran. Of course, the missile launchers and the missile stockpiles. Well, this is a funny clip of a missile just going crazy after Israel took out the truck it was traveling in. I'll play it again. Pay attention to the missile, how it's traveling. I've never seen that. Maybe in cartoons I've seen that. It's crazy, crazy. Never seen. Now, IDF has been sharing a lot of footage of them taking out Iranian air defense system, anti-aircraft missiles and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I cannot show you guys this clip. Our lives already get demonetized every single day, but I think this clip may be pushing it. We can see some human movements. We can see people moving before the strike, and I don't think you guys want to see that because people are dying. Of course, they are working for the IRGC, but I don't know if YouTube will allow us to see that. So we'll skip through that footage, but I can show you more footage of Israel taking out air defenses. I think that's perfectly fine. But you guys see, so Israel has been attacking this Isfahan facility. That's where this footage is from. It's all burning. And they have attacked this facility too, Natanz, but I think they do need US help to completely destroy it because this facility is apparently deep underground and US just doesn't. Israel does have F-35s, but F-35s don't have the ability to carry the amount of bunker busters that are needed to penetrate that deep. Only plane that can do that is B-2s. So that's why Israel really wants US to get involved because the B-2s have the ability. Now, to one of my favorite topic here. Russia has a habit of promising big things and never delivering. Well, I think this is in the wrong. Russia just told Iran that they cannot offer any help to the regime when they need the most. I want to remind everyone, at the start of this year, Russia and Iran signed a strategic partnership. And these are their words. The next phrase I'm going to say, it's not my phrase. Russia said that the strategic partnership is supposed to guarantee security for both nations. Well, it's easy to sign those things. It's easy to have your Twitter accounts, all the bot accounts that Russia has on Twitter. It's easy to have them push all this. But it's a lot harder to actually deliver on the promises. When Iran needs Russia's help, Russia does not offer any help. And Iran is pissed. This is what the Iranian ambassador to Russia said. The Iranian people will never forget who stood with us during these times and who chose to do nothing. Guess who's doing nothing? Russia. Russia is ready to mediate. James just tweeted out. And lastly, we just have two more stuff. Oh, let me play this clip first. Israelis did in Iran in 4 days what Russia couldn't do in 3.5 years. What was that? Achieve air superiority. As we just saw, Israel has destroyed a lot of Russian air defenses, Chinese air defenses that Iran has. Well, on the other hand, Russia has no air superiority in Ukraine. In fact, Ukraine is going deep inside Russia, going into Siberia and destroying Russian jets. That's how bad Russia is losing to Ukraine.
Israelis using American-made F-35 stealth fighter jets did in less than 4 days something that the Russian Air Force has been incapable of doing in Ukraine for 3.5 years. It established air superiority. That means Israeli non-stealth F-15 and F-16 fighter jets can now carry out airstrikes and hunt down the mobile ballistic missile launchers that are terrorizing Israeli cities. 2 U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyers, the USS Sullivans and USS Arleigh Burke in the eastern Mediterranean, have been shooting down Iranian missiles aimed at Israel. The Navy has ordered the USS Thomas Hudner for backup, along with a 4th Navy destroyer. And we have now learned the aircraft carrier strike group, the USS Nimitz, on its final sea voyage will deploy from the Pacific. Deeply symbolic, since it was the Nimitz deployed in 1980 and its helicopters that were part of the failed U.S. effort to rescue the American hostages held at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. The U.S. has been in a shadow war against Iran ever since. Israel may not be able to reach the parts of Iran's nuclear program that are buried inside
the B-2. That's Iran's worst nightmare right there.
Mountains and underground without U.S. help. U.S. B-2 bombers are the only air asset that can drop the 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs known as the Massive Ordnance Penetrator.
Massive ordnance. And lastly, this is some documentation of some Iranian bases. what they look like before and after. Pretty cool, pretty cool.